Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 19 of season 2 of our F1 2020 McLaren driver career mode. Yes, we're back once more as we head through the flyaway season. 4 races to go of the World Championship and it is certainly heating up. If you missed out on the last video from the Japanese Grand Prix, make sure you go back and check it out. You guys know the drill, but of course there will be spoilers in just a moment. Obviously, make sure you get yourself subscribed as well. Obviously, if you do want to enjoy this video, we're trying to hit 15k subs at the moment, so if it helps us get one step closer to that, it would be greatly appreciated. And obviously, down the line, if you don't enjoy the content, you can easily unsubscribe once more. But yeah, getting ready though for the US Grand Prix this weekend. Obviously, we've got 3 races in the Americas, and then of course the finale in Abu Dhabi. The gap at the top of the standings has come down in the last race, and 30 points now separate myself and Lando Norris at the top of the championship. Hamilton still technically has an outside chance of the World Championship, but it is going to be a British World Champion once more there. Bottas is now mathematically out of it. Mercedes are pretty much mathematically out of the Constructors as well. I think we've got, what, 158 point gap, 158 point gap even to Mercedes with 176 points available. So we need 18 points between Lando and I in the final 3 races of the championship. Things are shaping up rather nicely at the moment, but if we have a good weekend here, we could head to Mexico next time out with a good chance of wrapping up the world title. Let's dive in then here to the US Grand Prix. Here we are then, qualifying day at the Lone State Texas Grand Prix circuit. Hopefully we can get a good lap in, but if I'm not mistaken, we are meant to have a wet race. It might be wet to dry. That could make things very interesting over the course of the Grand Prix tomorrow. So we are going to have to go a little bit more on the old setup with a little bit more wing on the car. If I can remember to press the right buttons once again. So we're going to run, we're going to go 5.7. Just so we've got a little bit of extra rotation. Obviously, it's going to cost us down the straight. Probably going to cost us a bit in our qualifying lap time. But hopefully it'll make us quicker, obviously, in the race tomorrow. Obviously, all the points are awarded. I realised I probably should have just changed the wing after qualifying. Or at least the front wing. Anyway, but here we go then. Ready for one-shot qualifying. It's been a long time. Have I actually ever had a pole in this car? I think I've had a couple over the course of the season. But qualifying has not always been our strong point over the course of this championship. It's been Mercedes that have been very quick. And then, of course, Lando Norris in the other car, who's always been able to get the thing hooked up on a Saturday. Oh, got big correction there. That's going to cost us a lot of time as we head out of Sector 1, but didn't want to completely slice the inside of the corner there. Bit of a bad run as we head out of the S's there, down the hill, slamming the anchors at the 100-metre board. Try and put that apex as best as possible and then avoid the wheel spin on the exit of the corner there. Lando Norris still looking comfortable at the front of the field. You know, he knows he needs to have a pretty much flawless end to the season if he wants any chance of reclaiming the points that he needs to try and become world champion here. It's going to be his best shot, obviously, at a world championship, maybe for years to come. And he knows it at the moment in just his second year in, well, third year technically in Formula 1 based on this timeline. But suddenly out of nowhere, there comes Hamilton in the Mercedes. So Mercedes still looking quick then around at this circuit as we head down in towards the final few corners of the lap. We're currently sat in P3 as we head down in towards, oh, got a lot of curve there, that was a bit cheeky. In towards the final corner though, is it going to be Hamilton, is it going to be Lando Norris on the pole position, ready for the US Grand Prix? We're going to start P3 behind our championship rivals, but it is Hamilton who gets the Mercedes on pole.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Hamilton, Norris and Mr. Monaco. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
So there we go then, the 3 Brits at the front of your field there in reverse championship order, but Bottas 6/10 behind his teammate at the end of qualifying there. Mercedes and McLaren, once again, the battle seems to rage on, ready for this weekend there. Charles Leclerc doing a very good job to get his Ferrari onto the 3rd row of the grid. They're ahead of Daniel Ricciardo there. Perez, Ocon, Vettel and Verstappen round out your top 10, so a little bit of a mix-up ready for this US Grand Prix. Obviously, you can see the AlphaTauris and the backmarker cars as well there. But hopefully, we can have a good race out. Like I said, we've adjusted the setup, so maybe we're going to be a bit quicker in race trim. But 14 laps ahead of us around the US Grand Prix circuit in very tricky conditions. Let's do this thing.
Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Räikkönen delighted the world by winning for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what, I wonder, is in store for us today? We have 10 turns to the left and 10 to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turns 1 and 12 at this anti-clockwise 3.6 mile track. But we may well see cars struggle to slow down there today as the wet weather does interfere with the low-speed grip. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. There's a real chance they could win the title today. So how do you think they'll handle the pressure?
By trying not to think about the result too much. The worst thing you can do in this situation is think about all the what-ifs. What if I get hit going into turn 1? What if I get a penalty? What if I finish outside the points? If you let any of those kind of worries get to you, you can't focus on the job. So staying in the right mindset will be critical today.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Mr. Monaco, Bottas, Charles Leclerc and Ricciardo, Perez, Ocon, Vettel and Max Verstappen, Stroll, Albon, Pierre Gasly and Kvyat, Grosjean, Magnussen, Antonio Giovinazzi and George Russell. Latifi and Kimi Räikkönen finishes off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, well here we are then, ready on the grid for the US Grand Prix, and rather interestingly, we're actually starting on the intermediate tyres there on a very, very damp track. So it's going to be interesting to see how these cope early on. The team are looking at the no-stop strategy, so we might have to be careful on the rubber as well. But changeable conditions are always going to make this track incredibly, incredibly interesting. I think we had a race back in Season 2, I want to say, the My Team Career Mode, where we absolutely bucketed it down with like 3 laps to go, and we were the only one to make the call and gained like 8 places on the final lap of the race there. Yeah, we've had some crackers around the US Grand Prix in the past, and hopefully today is no different. Not quite sure what Anthony Davidson and Crofty were talking about in terms of us wrapping up the world title. It cannot mathematically be done today. We've still got another 3 Grand Prix after this one, so unless we somehow pull out 46 points in, or 47 points even in one race, I don't know. It's all a bit weird. But anyway, let's dive in then here to the US Grand Prix. Round 19 of the World Championship, and hopefully we can just keep it clean and tidy off the start. 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the US Grand Prix. Getting a good launch once again. 2 weeks running there as Lando Norris bogs down in towards turn 1. We'll try and just keep that out of trouble as there's a lot of contact on our inside. As Lando's going to be able to get back up the inside there. I think that was Bottas who ran into the side of me there. I think we gave enough room as we head through the first turn, but clearly, I think, yeah, 3, maybe even 4 wide there, as Charles Leclerc might have tried to get his nose in as well. But an okay start to the US Grand Prix. No places gained, no places lost, which is the most important thing as well. Often we've gone backwards in the starts in this championship, but today is not going to be one of those days, or at least not in the first sector of the Grand Prix. Hamilton, though, still leads the way as we head down in towards Sector 2. Just try and work out what the grip levels are like early on in this race. Don't want to try and make any mistakes early on, as we've already got a part issue. The DRS is not working. I'm not going to lose much sleep over that. Whilst it's treacherous conditions here, I can't imagine that's going to be all too essential in this Grand Prix early on. So, yeah, anyway, Hamilton still leads the way. I think everyone in about the top 6 is exactly where they started here, but it was a good start for us, and hopefully we can build on it. I'm sure as well this weekend the team only want us to get both cars to the checkered flag. Obviously, it would be McLaren's first Constructors' World Championship since 1998, if we were able to wrap it up today. So 23 years in this hypothetical universe since McLaren at last won a Constructors' Championship, as well as the fact, obviously, if we finished in this order, Hamilton will be out of the Drivers' World Championship battle as well, so it'll be the first time McLaren have done the double as well since 1998, their first Drivers' Championship since 2008 as well, obviously, with the man who leads this Grand Prix, who's looking to try and stop them from getting another title on the board. But we are starting to apply a little bit more pressure to Lando Norris as we come towards the end of lap 2, just slowly getting into a good groove with the car, but again, don't want to take any risks this early on in the Grand Prix, as well as the fact we need to keep the tyres in good nick. I really have no regrets about putting a little bit of extra wing on ready for this one as we get a good run out onto the back straightaway. The team telling us we're doing a good run. 10 more minutes of rain, the team reckon, as well, as Lando Norris is aware of it. He's going to go a bit defensive on us as we head down the back straightaway. Oh, he's a little bit cautious on the brakes. We're trying to look round the outside, getting all over the curb, so a little bit scared to get on the throttle too much, but still side by side as we head through the next couple of corners here. Can we get the power down? As Lando will once again have the inside. Brilliant little battle through the final sector of the lap. Can we try and get the power down in towards the Turkey S section? I swear we saw Hamilton make the move on Rosberg to claim his world title. Then Lando that runs into the side of me and has completely put himself on the wall there. I can't help but feel there was nothing we could do in that situation there, and that has brought a VSC out in this Grand Prix, but huge championship ramifications potentially there, as it looked like from my end Lando Norris just got on the throttle far too early, and well, nothing we could really do. We had the car in front, so surely he should have lifted out in that situation. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on that are down in the comments below, but nothing we could do there, and Lando Norris is unfortunately into the pit lane and is going to be at the rear of the field in this Grand Prix. Well, it's never the way I want to try and gain points on championship rivals or teammates, but unfortunately, yeah, again, I don't feel like there was much we could have done in that instance. It has, however, worked out wonderfully for Hamilton, but the gap is now finally starting to come the other way once again. The McLaren is definitely a bit of a better car around the higher aero circuits. We saw that last weekend at Suzuka, just how much we were able to gain through the S's on that Mercedes car, even I should say, up the road. But the gap's still hovering around 2 seconds at the moment, but we have gone purple in the first sector of the lap, so hopefully we're getting into a good groove. Dry line definitely starting to form though, so we could have to make the switch to dries before the end of this one, but timing that call might really spice things up. Hamilton new fast lap, we go 1.2 quicker that time round, so that's how well we're going. At this stage of the day, Hamilton surely is going to start feeling the pressure soon. We could be on for our first win, I think, since what? I'm trying to remember when was the last time we actually won a race this championship. It's been a while, and that's really worrying actually. It's always that horrible thing in Formula 1, we can get closer, Hamilton, but we're just sat just under the 1 second mark and really losing a lot of time and consistency obviously in the dirty air. You can see we just sit a little bit closer and just the car feels a little bit more all over the place at the moment. That was a lot of curb through there, being a bit cheeky once again, but we've got to try and get a run on him sooner rather than later, because I'm worried we might make a mistake otherwise. Right under the gearbox, as again you can see just how many little overcorrections we're having to make on the exit of the corners here, but we'll try and use as much of our ERS as we possibly can. We've got the slipstream on Lewis Hamilton as we head down the back straightaway, but that Merc is just so fast down the straights, nothing we can do, as Hamilton a little bit early on the brakes there as well. We've got yellow flags out, that's one of the Alfa Romeos falling to the wayside. I'm going to guess that's Giovinazzi.
It looks like we'll be running on a dry track soon, back to dry shortly.
The team is saying we should be back on a dry track soon, so that normally means the rain is about to stop, but again, we still just haven't made any more progress on Lewis Hamilton at the moment. The gap seems to be just ebbing and flowing a little bit, hovering around the second mark, but maybe, just maybe, if we got some DRS right at the end, then we could try and go for something. However, I'm a bit worried. Obviously, if the track does dry up, our really high wings are not going to help us out all too much as well at the end of this race. Oh, look at that, we do get a whole lot closer in towards the hairpin. Try to get the power down on the exit of the corner there, and Hamilton's having to save ERS. So this might be a golden opportunity to try and go for something here. Hamilton forces us defensive as we head down the back straightaway. It's pretty much an even drag race, but Hamilton way later on the brakes there. I was worried he was going to turn in. He gives us a big old squeeze in towards the corner there, but I think we've out-tractioned him. Yes, we have. Up the around the outside. No, we don't. We run horribly wide through the next corner, and Hamilton's instantly going to take it back from us. We'll have a bit of a look up the inside towards the next corner, but not quite able to get the front end back up the inside of Lewis Hamilton. And we're just, 5 laps to go of this US Grand Prix. Things are definitely heating up as both of us still pulling away from Bottas behind. lap 11, and now the track you can really start to see is drying out. A lot less spray being kicked up, certainly no more rain falling as well. So with 4 laps to go of this GP, are we now potentially going to get the call on to dries within the next couple of laps, or is it worth just staying out and not losing the time with a pit stop and trying to get to the end of the Grand Prix? It might end up being one of those ones where we do whatever Hamilton doesn't do at some point. I don't think it's dry enough just yet to go into some softs, but there is still plenty that can happen towards the end of this Grand Prix. We get again all over Hamilton's gearbox through the hairpin, but a not particularly great run that time around. There is a bit of wheel spin on the exit of the hairpin. Can we get a run on Hamilton? He's gonna go... Oh no, he doesn't go defensive. I was expecting him to go defensive on us, but we do still get a big run right around the outside there. Hamilton again a bit brave on the brakes. We just get catastrophic understeer that time round. Obviously not enough water to allow these intermediates to work as well as they normally would, so I think we are getting closer and closer to the crossover point. It's just a case of how well these tyres hang on and when, if we get the call.
DRS has been enabled.
There we go. With 3 laps to go, DRS has now been re-enabled in this US Grand Prix, so maybe now we might get the call to make the transfer, but to be honest, I'm not sure it's going to be worth it. With 2 laps to go of this US Grand Prix, now we should be able to get a run on Lewis Hamilton there, and a big slingshot right around the outside we go, and surely we're going to be clear ahead as we head down in towards the braking zone. Yes, we are. And finally up into the lead of the US Grand Prix with barely 2 laps to go. But I don't think it's worth pitting. I reckon it's probably worth staying out to the end of this Grand Prix, because I reckon Hamilton will be a lot quicker than us on some soft tyres. Obviously a little less aero on that Merc. I reckon, oh, look at that. Huge amount of oversteer, so the track clearly isn't particularly grippy at the moment. Is Hamilton going to dive it in? Are we going to go for a split strategy between us at the end of the Grand Prix? The team haven't given us the call to come in yet. Is Hamilton going to do so? No, Hamilton stays out another lap. So I reckon it's worth staying out to the end of this Grand Prix if Hamilton does as well. Surely, yeah, with 2 to go, Hamilton's not going to pit in with 1 lap to go with the Grand Prix. I reckon we're all just trying to get to the end on these inters. No one else further down the grid on the minimap you can see pitting in either. So I reckon we're making the right call for now. Tell you what, it's a good job no one else has dived into the pit lane, because these inters are now feeling a bit more on the ropes with just over a lap to go of this Grand Prix. Again, I don't think it's worth a call now, especially. I don't reckon you can make up 20 seconds in 1 lap, but now we've got the tyre warning as well, so obviously the wear is getting worse and worse as everyone really starting to burn out these inters. I'm amazed no one, not a single car, has taken the gamble with just a couple of laps to go here, but we are all staying out and doing the no-stop Grand Prix around this US circuit. 1 more lap to go here from Kota. Can we hold on? Coming down in towards the hairpin for the final time then in this US Grand Prix, and I reckon we've done the Hamilton trip from Istanbul. Well, we've worn down these inters so much they're practically a set of dry tyres at the end of this Grand Prix, but it's all fallen into place for us today. Not quite the way I'd want to walk away with a 26-point gap to our teammate Lando Norris, or another extra 26-point gap over our teammate, but yeah, definitely felt there was a lot more else we could do in that situation. And then finally the car started working out a bit more. We got that 1 run on Hamilton that we needed, and it looks like Lewis will once again be finishing runner-up at the US Grand Prix, a track that he's dominated in the past, but today is not going to be his day. As we head in towards the final few corners of the US Grand Prix, it sets us up perfectly for a potential championship decider next time out in Mexico. But for us in McLaren, it is going to be the Constructors' Championship for the first time, like I said, since 1998. I'm sure that feels incredibly sweet for the team. We come through, fastest lap race victory, 26 points on the board.
Absolutely fantastic. It's a brilliant result. Well done.
Not just victory today then, but the championship as well. What a spectacular season they've had. Congratulations to the whole team. Ant, talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure. and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight. So let's review the updated driver standings. Mr. Monaco increases their championship lead. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. They did a great job at getting the most out of their tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern day Formula One.
With that result, McLaren can no longer be touched at the top of the table. They've had their ups and downs this season like all teams, but they've weathered the storm and come out on top. McLaren are world champions once again. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then, guys, the end of the US Grand Prix. And yeah, like I said, everything was able to fall into place for us here today. But some controversial incidents in that race nonetheless. Like I said, make sure you let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts and feelings were to that incident. But it is another race victory on the board there in this career mode. Like I said, I'm not actually 100% sure when the last time we won a race was. It might have been Monza. It might well have been Monza, because I don't think we won Singapore. We definitely didn't win Russia or Suzuka either. It was either the Italian Grand Prix or even before that, which is rather worrying at the end of the day there. But Mercedes come through, P2 and P3 ahead of Charles Leclerc, doing a brilliant job in fourth there. Renault looked quick all weekend and pick up some decent points as well, though, with Perez 7th, Vettel 8th, sorry, even I should say, and then the Red Bulls are rounding out your point scorers as well. You can see the rest of your finishes there. Lando Norris down in P16 when all is said and done. A very, very heartbreaking day for our teammate there. One of just two drivers who actually had to pit there, and I think it was Raikkonen who was the only one to make the pit stop, trying to maybe take the fastest lap bonus point away from me, but wasn't able to do so at the end of the Grand Prix there. Means championship-wise, 56 now the gap as we head into the Mexican Grand Prix next weekend, which means we only need to lose 4 points to our teammate Lando Norris, and we will be crowned world champion there. Hamilton is now mathematically out of it after not being able to walk away with the race victory here today. So yeah, it is McLaren. They're going to be wrapping up both for championships, but which McLaren driver is it going to be? That is the ultimate question. Constructors-wise, we are officially champions as well. They're a 151 point gap with only 132 points available between now and the end of the season, but still some big battles to watch on there. Renault still just 8 points ahead of Racing Point there. Ferrari and Red Bull just 9 points separating those two teams as well. So yeah, lots still left to be decided as we head into round 20 next time out. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and yeah, we will be back very, very soon, ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.